Hello, it's Anne. How are you? I have been meaning to make this video for a while. This is about failure. If you ever thought you failed, I certainly have. It's hard. It sucks. I've had many good cries over failures, and I'm someone who I have the strength of courage. I have not really struggled with courage too much in my life, but I have struggled with failure probably because I have so much courage. I jump into things and I go for things that sometimes, may or may not work. So I know failure well. And I also have had many clients over many years come to me with their failures. They've come to me after relationships that they thought were the one, or they thought, this person would never do this to me, and they blew up in their face. The whole thing just ended, abruptly, or, maybe it's a slow death, but whatever it is, it's like they tried so hard and it failed. Or I've had clients come to me because of business endeavors. One woman I know started this business with very high goals, and she's an amazing woman, and put her heart and soul into it for several years, and recently decided she's got to close the business. And ouch, the feelings that can come up around these things of humiliation, of what am I going to do, of there's nowhere to go but here, and who am I fooling myself, all these feelings that we hit when we think we failed. It's really rough. And I want you to know that in my experience, this is the good news, failure is not a failure. It feels like that. And I really have compassion for all those human emotions that come up around it. And you gotta feel them, because if you don't feel them, and if you keep pushing or pretending that you're not feeling them, or you keep trying, or you just like rinse and repeat, let me get, brush that under the rug, you go out and you have another relationship, it happens again, right? So you have to feel it. But once you feel it, there's two things that I want to share with you that are on the other side of all those feelings. So two possibilities of what failure could be instead of failure. So the first thing is that in my experience, and what I see many, many times with something that seems to be a failure, is it's really the universe redirecting us. So if one path that we're on is not really in our highest and best good, we will get directed elsewhere. The level of grace with which this happens depends on many things. It can depend on our readiness to really feel and be, honest with ourselves about what's going on in these endeavors, whether it's a relationship, business, or whatnot. The more honest and perceptive and flexible we can be along the way, the less likely we're going to get blindsided with a failure. So that's one thing. But we do get redirected because the universe can often see better than us, and we get attached, we humans. We're limited, and yet we are infinite as souls. So our souls are always leading the way. The universe, I kind of use your soul and the universe interchangeably, right? Your higher self, your angels, God, however you see that, I don't care, really. So there is a higher power, though. There is more than your mind. There is more than your body, right? So whatever your personality, your ego mind thinks, there's always more than that. So this woman I knew that was in a relationship, she tried so hard to make it work, especially towards the end. And that was a place where she wasn't completely wanting to face that it wasn't going as well as she wanted it to. She was trying to fix it, and then it blew up in her face. She felt like she got blindsided, and a really feeling of failure, anger, frustration, everything that goes along with it. But I could see for her all along, certainly in the later part of the relationship, there's a better match for you. I know there's a better match. This is good for now. You're learning, you're growing in this. This is fine for now. In fact, it was right for a while. But was he the one? No, wasn't the one. And so there comes a time, and depending on our readiness, it can be easy, or it can be like, a tornado hits us, we get redirected. I had one, if you've seen my video about how following my guidance led me to my partner and baby, you've heard my story. But I had one that ended 3 days after I had brought all my things from LA to Santa Fe, where I was dating a guy who said he was ready to move in together. And then 3 days after he said that, I had all my stuff back in a U-Haul, spent the money to do that, blah 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 blah, decided he'd end it in one day, and then never talked to me again. So understandably, that was rough. And within 1 month, I met my partner that I've been with 5 years now. So the failure, if we really face it, and I felt everything, by the way, for that month, I was crying on the couch, I was journaling, I was seeking healing sessions, I was doing everything I knew to do. So it's often a redirection. It's often a shift into there's a better path that we don't see yet. And that's exciting. So the other thing failure can be is failure can be a reflection of a change that you have made. So by the time you get to the failure, it's actually a graduation because you were in the thing. And I mentioned the woman in the relationship that blew up in her face. She entered that relationship with a certain self-concept, a certain level of self-worth, certain needs emotionally based on everything she'd been through prior to that, from her past relationships, things that she had to sort of, how do I say this, balance out. You know, where in her past relationships, certain dynamics were at play. She needed a different set of dynamics to make her balanced in her soul, in sort of, without giving too many of her personal details. You know, she had it one way, she had to have it the other way, so she could have experienced both sides of the coin, right? Sometimes we need that. We need it for 6 months, we need it for a year, we need it for 5 years, 10 years, and then we don't need it anymore. It's not a bad thing. Oftentimes, like I said, it's a graduation, it's a success. It's like, yes, you're ready for the guy that's like, you know, really gonna match you now. That's not a karmic completion cycle, but it's a real meeting. It's a place where you can start from instead of, you know, finish within, if that makes sense. It's not a relationship that's there to help you complete emotional patterns that are, you know, incomplete. It's there to really be a springboard into your destiny. And so, I have that now in my relationship, which is exciting. I recently was talking to a client who started a business, and after several years of really pouring her heart and soul in a very big goal that she had with this business, and she's completely capable of the big goal. So that's the interesting part. She's totally cut out for it, and yet she's no longer the woman that she was when she started the business. So when she started it with certain people and certain setup where she doesn't align anymore. Those people aren't the best partners for her. The person she was, she's just grown into the most amazing, insightful, centered, creative person that is ready for the next thing. And so the fact that the business isn't making its goals doesn't mean that she's not capable of that. It actually means she's lined up better with something else. And the failure in her case is actually such a relief because it was hard being in the business but no longer fitting in the business. It was hard having to deal with all the dynamics that when she started the business felt normal to her and now feel like, I don't want to deal with this, you know, and rightly so. And it's not because she's just, you know, wanting to push things away or resist things that are human. I mean, sometimes we humans do this, don't get me wrong. But in her case, she's really grown and evolved, so the failure is a success. The failure is a relief. And yet, we have to go through those emotions. I've had several clients recently ask me about friendships, probably 3 in the last couple weeks. You know, they've said to me, I used to be friends with this person, really close friends perhaps. Maybe it was 7 years ago, maybe it was last month. But in each of these women's cases, they would say, I don't know what happened. You know, we were so close and all of a sudden it's not the same, or she's not talking to me and I don't know why. And in every case, I would see, you don't need that friendship. You know, again, nothing wrong with that other person. It's just that they entered into the friendship with a certain agreement, a certain emotional agreement, a certain psychic agreement. There were certain things they were each learning from each other. And she, in each of these women's cases, got to a point where she didn't need that from that friend anymore. And that vibrational agreement just didn't match. And they could part peacefully and each find more alignment in their lives without needing to be close as they were and still love each other. So I hope this helps. If you've ever felt failure, it's one of 2 things, just to sum up. It's either a redirection from your higher self and the universe into something better, or it's a success, it's a graduation, it's a completion of a pattern that you no longer need. A situation, an alignment that has changed, you've grown into something new, you're ready for the next thing. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Ann O'Brien. Check out AnnO'BrienLiving.com for all kinds of goodies, and I'll be in touch soon. Thanks.